We've been keeping track of the draconian new lockdown in Australia. Now we have this headline out of Summit News. Melbourne, authorities to use surveillance drones to catch people not wearing masks. Now, I'm in Spain. They've literally got surveillance drones doing circles around the beaches, looking out for people not wearing masks, looking out for people not social distancing. And by the way, you cannot underestimate the stupidity and the servile nature of people. Everybody I've spoken to about this in Spain, they love it. They're like, oh, it's so great. They've got helicopters flying over the beaches to keep everyone under check. They've got surveillance drones. Isn't it great? What? You just can't underestimate the servile nature of humanity, especially at this point. Authorities in Melbourne, Australia will use high-tech surveillance drones to catch people outside not wearing masks, as well as to scan for vehicles that are in violation of curfew by being more than 5 kilometres from home. How dare they? Remember, of course, in remote countryside areas of the Peak District in the United Kingdom a few months ago, they used surveillance drones for the same thing. They were scanning license plates and then publicly shaming people on the internet for walking their dogs in a remote region miles away from anyone else. There was a massive backlash to that. Doesn't seem to be a great backlash to this in Melbourne. They interviewed 2 people in this news report and they said, oh, it's great. I'm not worried because I have nothing to hide. And I'm sure they'll have the same attitude when it comes to the mandatory vaccine. Because, of course, in neighbouring New Zealand, they announced recently that potential COVID infectees and their whole families will be put in quarantine camps. And if they refuse to take a coronavirus test, they'll be held there for at least 14 days. Not a big leap from that, being held against your will in a quarantine camp, to being injected against your will with a vaccine. You don't need to be a tinfoil hatter to see there's not a great leap between those two things. And I'm going to get more into what's going on in Melbourne after the break. They've got police going into people's homes without warrants. You've got videos of women being choked by police on the streets for not wearing masks. It's all gone very 1984, very draconian indeed. We'll be back to talk about it on the other side. Don't go away, summit.news. We're going to play this video out of ABC7 Australia here in a moment, canvassing people's opinions on the surveillance drones enforcing the wearing of masks, and they all love it, of course. But first, I want to tell you about the Everyday Essentials sale available right now at InfoWarsStore.com, where we have up to 60% off and free shipping on a ton of your favorite products, including Survival Shield X3, the 8-pack Power Stack, Vaso Beat, the Ultimate Fish Oil, and more. This is available right now at InfoWarsStore.com, where we also have discounts on, for example, the fantastic energy supplement Turbo Force, again at InfoWarsStore.com, along with the other great deals as part of this special Ultimate Turmeric Combo Pack, also available there with the bodies, joint support, another excellent product which I can personally recommend. Go check out the 5-star reviews. Please support this network. Again, as ever, we're under constant attack. That's only going to accelerate as the election nears. So we value and cherish your continued support by getting the specials, the Everyday Essentials sale specials at InfoWarsStore.com. So in Melbourne, they have surveillance drones whizzing along the parks, the beaches, enforcing the wearing of masks. Here's the clip from 7 News Melbourne.
Police are preparing to launch their aerial arsenal as part of a crackdown on COVID rule breakers. High-powered drones will be used to find people not wearing masks and cars too far from home.
Sky-high surveillance as we battle to control COVID. Over the next week, Victoria Police will dispatch drones. They'll be keeping a watch on St Kilda and Port Melbourne Beach, making sure skate parks and playgrounds remain empty, and for those who head to the park, a mask is a must, or at least a face covering.
Are they knickers?
Yeah, it's my knickers.
Police have also been using drones to guard the New South Wales border. There are concerns this style of policing won't end when the pandemic is over.
I think it's very important that we come up with rules, with laws that can also have things like sunset clauses, so there's an end point for any kind of technology or new powers that police might use.
There's no escaping this high-powered aerial arsenal. It can be flown for 7 kilometres. The camera is infrared and it's so clear it can read a vehicle's number plate from 500 metres away.
Doesn't really bother me. I'm doing the right thing, so I've got nothing to hide.
I reckon they're doing a good job, the coppers, and good, good on them for doing that.
Tegan Dolling, 7 News.
Now, again, you see it there. These people think that being servile to and obeying arbitrary government rules makes them good people. Their lives are that worthless, they actually get off on this kind of thing. I hasten to add, as you saw in that clip, the woman was literally wearing female underwear as a face mask. Even the medical face masks, they don't keep out 97% of particles. They're utterly pointless. People have been wearing these valve masks for months. The CDC came out a few days ago and said they do nothing to stop coronavirus. Of course, the people wearing the valve masks thought that they were a tier above the normies wearing the blue medical masks. No, completely pointless. Completely and utterly pointless. Oh, but because you obeyed a government rule, that makes you a good person. Incredible. And if this was isolation, it would be bad enough. But we featured the video clips of women being choked, strangled, dragged to the ground. A woman was left bruised. Her entire body was left bruised by one of these incidents, because unlike in most Western countries, because again, these coronavirus lockdown measures only work with the consensus of the people. If you start having the police arbitrarily enforce them violently, that's only going to cause a backlash, and it's going to cause less people to adhere to the rules. We saw that in the UK, where at one point the police were checking the contents of people's shopping bags to determine if they'd made essential purchases. So in some cases, people had bought 2 bottles of wine. The police said, no, that's against the rules. They were completely making it up on the spot. But there was a backlash and they had to row it back. And in the UK and most countries, you merely get fined. The fines are crippling at this point, but you still only get fined. You don't literally get choked and dragged to the ground for not social distancing and not wearing a mask. Pretty ironic, that, isn't it? Oh, stay 2 meters apart, but this cop's going to manhandle you to the floor and sit on your face. That's fine. We also had the story again out of Melbourne, which, by the way, they locked down the entire state of Victoria because of a cluster of COVID cases. Again, complete hysteria. They instituted an 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew. People going to work on the highways having to stop at police checkpoints and show their work permits to prove that they've got a job, that they're allowed to go to work. You have the Australian Defence Force troops patrolling parks, which is embedded in a tweet at the bottom of this article, literal like paramilitary troops in masks walking around parks. Police fined a couple for allowing their children to play in a playground further than 5 kilometres from their home. There were 2 guys who tried to arrange a protest, not a Black Lives Matter protest. That would have been fine, because we know that COVID is a woke virus and takes a vacation for every BLM protest, of course. But these 2 guys tried to organise an anti-lockdown protest in Melbourne. The police executed a search warrant against their house and seized their computers for trying to organise a protest in a supposed liberal democracy. Absolutely incredible. They had as the announcement was being made for the curfew, for the new lockdown in Melbourne, they literally had police position themselves outside big apartment blocks in the city, waiting to see if anyone tried to escape. It's just beyond 1984. And it's only going to get worse. And it's looking like it's going to get worse in New Zealand, where we have this headline, neighbouring New Zealand, of course. New Zealand Prime Minister delays election due to coronavirus. Of course, when Trump suggested doing this in the United States, the Washington Post called him a fascist, and the New York Times said that Trump should be removed from office. Again, merely for suggesting in a tweet that because of coronavirus, maybe it was a sensible decision to delay the election for a month. Guess who was just celebrated for delaying an election for a month because of coronavirus? The Prime Minister, of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern. She was praised, lavished, worshipped, because, of course, she is a globalist darling, having instituted a mass gun confiscation program after the mosque shooting last year. She's one of the good guys. So she gets to suspend the New Zealand election because of coronavirus for a month, and she's not a fascist. Nobody's calling to remove her from power. She's being lavishly celebrated. Christopher Snowden asked, didn't Trump get attacked for suggesting something similar? Zero Hedge asked, did she get the idea from Trump? Of course, authorities in New Zealand have said they will put all new coronavirus infectees and their close family members in quarantine facilities. So this prime minister is literally suspending the election and putting people in camps. But Trump's the fascist. Absolutely incredible. Of course, this new lockdown in New Zealand was imposed after a single family caught coronavirus, after the country had gone 102 days without having a single coronavirus case. Absolutely incredible. Meanwhile, back in the United States, Portland police, man viciously beaten by BLM protesters, was trying to help transgender victim of robbery. As far as I know so far, at least as of this afternoon, the Portland police have not even made an arrest in this case, despite the fact that the identity of the vicious thug who kicked this guy in the head has been known for the past 2 days. But no arrest whatsoever has been made. Reginald Denny, who I mentioned earlier in the show, he, of course, was dragged out of his vehicle, similar to the guy in Portland, beaten half to death. His identity was known nationwide. It was a nationwide news story. He's still remembered to this day. How many outlets of the mainstream media have covered the guy getting kicked almost to death in Portland? Apart from maybe a couple of local media, again, it's zero. Just like zero of them, until massive pressure, covered the Darius Sessoms murder of the 5-year-old boy in North Carolina. Well, now we have this headline. Justice for Darius Sessoms Facebook group set up by trolls attracts thousands of actual supporters. Again, 20,000 people got on there and started saying, no, the 5-year-old boy deserved to be shot in the head because of his white privilege. Sick, but no surprise at this point, given the attitude of the people we're facing. That's going to wrap it up. War Room is coming up next with Owen Schroyer. Summit.news. Don't go away.
As men age, they may often experience a loss in vitality, energy, and overall wellness. That's why we made one of our most popular formulas to date. Super Male Vitality is specifically designed to assist the body in regulating proper balance to create superior vitality in males. Featuring a unique formula that promotes your body's own natural responses, Super Male Vitality contains no synthetic chemicals or unwanted additives. It's no secret that Super Male Vitality is one of our best-selling formulas. See why at InfoWarsStore.com today.
New court filings. Ghislaine Maxwell fled across house during raid. FBI found tinfoil wrapped cell phones, and they found her with a phone she was trying to get rid of wrapped in tinfoil. Now, why would she do that? Because the big genius spy did not have one of these, and now I'm going to plug. This is a Privacy Pocket 1995. Other people sell these with the copper Faraday cage for 30 bucks. That's a 200% markup. This is a 100% markup. You cannot get a better deal. These are the best pockets They take from small to large cell phones. We have them in red, royal blue, green, and black. You put your phone in it, and then all the cell towers that every few seconds are pinging where you're at and tracking and getting your data and selling it to the highest bidder, and hackers that are busy stealing the data, and all the other big corporations have different wireless systems that are stealing your data as well. You protect yourself and your data from the Bill and Melinda Gates and the Clinton Foundation contact tracers. You protect yourself from all of these people, and it is so critical that all of us habituate ourselves and get in the habit now of putting our cell phones, we're not using them, in one of these. It'll still go in your pocket like it's no big deal. I fit my cell phone right in here. I slide it right in. It easily folds over, fits in my pocket, slips right in, back pocket, front pocket, or inside of your coat, and you've got it, and they can't track and trace you. And when you want to take your phone out, then you take your phone out, and it doesn't know where you've gone or what you've done. This is a basic thing like locking your front door. It's a basic thing like putting clothes on when you go outside during the day. It needs to be done, and it's a great product at InfoWarsStore.com. Very affordably priced. Get your protection, privacy pockets at InfoWarsStore.com today, or 888-253-3139. Whatever you do, take action.